Today we're joined by Lee from Bold Outdoor Lighting, and we're going to be getting into kind of what's going on here in Bold's new product lineup and everything here in this interview. Lee is a sales rep from the U.S. Eastern side. Lee, thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Absolutely, Mike. Thanks for having me, man. It's been a long time coming here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I got to meet you briefly there at HNA, so it was actually good to be able to put a face to the name before I even do an interview with somebody, because I think you're the first guest that I've ever been able to do that for.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It was neat, and man, HNA was a busy one this year too. So it was pretty cool to meet you and a lot of other very well known names in the industry. I love going down there. Coming from the background that I'm at, those people they're my people. So HNA is always a good time.
Was that your first time at HNA, or have you been multiple times before that?
No, so I've been there before. I didn't start until I started as a rep. I tried to make it a bunch of times as a contractor. October in Pennsylvania is still somewhat go time if it stays warm long enough. So it's tough to get down there. But once I started here and in this position, it opened itself up as an opportunity, and I jumped on it as soon as I could. So
Yeah, it's that was my first time. That's why I asked. It was
okay.
pretty awesome. Pretty awesome to be able to go there and see a lot of faces that I see via Zoom and actually put a face to the name there in person. And well, Lee, I think the best way to kind of talk about this is kind of leading into what you were talking about there and being able to meet lots of people that you are a sales rep for in the States, and now kind of moving towards a new brand here with Bold. Can you fill us in with kind of what's been going on and talk to us about what Bold is all about here?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of chatter going on in the market right now. But basically, um, we have been, a distributor for Enlight in North America for years here. And through, some business relationships that eventually we just got to the point where it was time to make a change, and we were ready to, bring out a new line that we were able to upgrade, take some insight from the contractors that people have been, the guys in the industry and girls in the industry have been saying things to us for years that now we're able to actually put that forth into product and build a brand around what the contractors need, what they want to put on jobs, things that fit the North American market, and also some of the things that we've been doing well for years. We took them and made them even better, and now we have a full product line and a lot of new products coming that are going to be better fit to our market. Basically is what the idea is behind the Bold brand. The best outdoor living design is what Bold stands for, and we have hopes of building some more things outside of just lighting. Maybe you see some audio coming here in the coming years here, and a few other things that we'd like to branch out into and just kind of help be that solution for contractors in the market of those kind of ancillary items like lighting, audio and things of that nature. So we're working on the lights right now, and you'll see us kind of jump to some new things in the future coming.
So are the lights, are we going to be is this going to be available to everybody this coming season? Are we good to go with being able to learn more about Bold lighting and seeing how this kind of fits into our designs coming up in the spring here?
Absolutely, man. So we've already started, jumping a lot of that information out to our market and our current customers. So you've probably seen a lot of those emails coming through. You've seen a lot of the social media stuff. We have phase one of our products are in the catalog right now. We have a few phases that are already in, planning and production, where we're going to kind of jump out very quickly with new releases, which is, super exciting because we're not going to be waiting around for the new things to come out months after. We're going to be able to really quickly supply the market with those cool new products, smart products, dimmable products, the recess fixtures that everybody knows and loves, some of the path lights that people are used to seeing from us. You're going to see those, and then a little bit more upgraded options as well. And then also, like I said, some of the North American things that we didn't previously have, we're going to kind of put a bold twist on it, if you will, and throw some of those, those lights out, those path light fixtures that maybe you hadn't seen before. You'll be able to see those from us now as well.
So what's the idea behind the name Bold?
So really, it's just taking that bold step and daring to still be different and bring that high quality product to the market. Doing things that, a lot of other companies don't do, or maybe don't do as much of. Listening to the customer and listening to our contractors for us is the forefront, right? These are the guys that, you're out there, you're installing it every day, you're hands on with it every day, and what works for your market, what works for your guys on your job site, what you need, and how things really need to flow for it to be a product that you want to continue to use. So the fact that now we're really going to make sure that we listen to what our customers have to say and take those things into account whenever we're doing some R&D on products, or just pushing new things to the market, or pushing that envelope, we can really be bold about it by, listening and then making sure that those things are heard quickly.
Definitely. And Lee, is there anything that you can like immediately point to where it was feedback you were getting and you were able to act on it now with Bold in a product, or anything that you've heard from contractors in the past that Bold was able to like immediately act on and say, yeah, this is definitely something that we're going to act on immediately, and it's in our product line, and this is what we're going to have going forward here?
Yeah, absolutely. So like something as simple as just having like accessories on fixtures right away, right? Like, having the Strata, which is going to be our spotlight fixture, having the shroud on that already prepackaged. It's not an extra buy on, it's not an additional price point, right? Things like that, where there's multiple parts to a fixture. We really want to simplify that line to where when you order something, you get everything you need right then and there, and it's ready to install straight out of the box. Things like that are going to make things a lot more simple for the contractor on the job site, because I know from my previous background, having to remember to order this and order that, and the more things I have to order, the more likely I am to forget something along the way. So making sure that it's all just right there whenever you make that purchase, that's going to be something that you'll see straight from Bold, straight out of the gates.
Nice. And one thing that I'm happy to see, just briefly being able to flip through your online catalog there, is that the quick connect there. And if correct me if I'm wrong, the quick connect now is a little bit, or I don't want to say is now a little bit different, but the quick connect is more flat than previously. And
Yeah.
is that correct there?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure. It's not as bulky as what you're used
Yes.
to seeing from previous. It's a little bit thinner. It's also a lot less pieces. It's one piece now. And I've played with it as soon as I got to see the first one. I was playing with it in and out, trying to find what I could do to make it better if there was an issue with it, and I couldn't find anything, which pumped me up even more whenever I got to see it for the first time. It's super cool. It's very slim. It's called the Cobra connector, which cool little catchy name, but it also comes with a reason for it. It's got little prongs that once you put that cable down in there and you pop the cap shut, there's a little lever on the bottom that allows you to insert the fangs, the little metal prongs, up into the wire. And once you make that connection, you can do it live just like everybody's used to. Once you make that connection, there's a little test light on the end of the lead, like a little green diode that'll come on. What that does is allow you to see that your connection is already good to go, and you don't have to worry about a troubleshoot issue down the line. Or a lot of guys, when they get to installing on a project, right, they're running their cable and they might have an idea where they want to place the light. You don't necessarily want to put that fixture out there to get dusty and dirty until everything else is done on the job. So now you can run your line, put your connectors to kind of lay out where you want those lights to be, and then install the lights later with really no issue. And the other flip side of that is troubleshooting. Saying a fixture does happen to malfunction on you, you can easily see that, hey, the connection's still good because that test light's on and the light's not. So I know it's a light issue, or vice versa, the test light's not on, maybe there's an issue further back the line. So makes troubleshooting a little quicker, and the connection is, I can do it in one hand in like 10-12 seconds. So pretty cool.
Man, that's really cool. Just hearing you explain that, I was just happy that it was nice and slim and flat. That's a huge improvement
Yep.
just in that. But like hearing you talk about the indicator light to let you know and your troubleshooting as you go, that's awesome. I love that. Lee, what's been the most difficult thing these past, I don't know how long, but what's been one of the most difficult things for you, yourself, or Bold the brand moving forward here with this big change?
Yeah, I think so. For me, I've known for couple months now about what was going on, and it's tough because like when you have such a cool secret to keep and you want to tell everybody about it, was just like the waiting game, right? As a company, I think it's just helping everybody understand it correctly so that everybody's on the same page with it. Because you know how gossip goes, one person hears it one way and then they tell 10 different people, and now there's 10 different stories out there about, you know, what's going on. You know, people were saying like, oh, they got bought, and it's like, no, that's not what happened. You know, we came to the market with our own brand. We're still the same company, same team and service that everybody has known for years and loved here in North America. We're still going to push that same service forward. But you know, just kind of reiterating to everybody exactly what's going on. You know, and we're doing some webinars. We're going to be doing the Bold Academy as we go forward, you know, to do the trainings and help everybody understand. And we're always here, you know, if you have a rep or you know somebody, feel free to reach out to us. You know, we're happy to answer the questions. I think that's the biggest struggle that we've had though, is just, you know, keeping the story straight for people and helping them understand like, hey, we're not going anywhere. We're coming back with a cool product, you know, with a lot of upgrades, and we're going to make sure that the customers are set and happy going into 2024.
I think that's like the biggest thing for me for my introduction to the Bold team, at least, and why I very early on bought into what you guys were doing before was with the whole academy. And I'm just a big believer in these companies that invest quite a lot of their resources into helping people learn, helping contractors learn about their products, installing, and everything that goes along with that. So I'm glad that you mentioned there that the Bold Academy is coming back, and that's going to be huge, I think, moving forward with it.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think the industry as a whole looks that way, right? Like I know myself as a contractor, like education, you couldn't get enough of it. And I felt like I was doing a ton of it. And now, you know, 2 years, 3 years later, looking back, I'm like, man, there was so much more I could have learned, right? So making sure you're up to date and staying current with all the things in the industry. It doesn't even have to be just one brand, you know, of product that you use, just seeing different options and really understanding how, you know, sometimes there is a better option for different things, and knowing exactly when and where to use those options is key. So, you know, that was one of my reasons, you know, I told you before we got started, I never saw myself as, being a sales rep. I tell everybody like 8 years ago, if you'd asked me like, Lee, you ever going to be a sales rep? I'd laughed at you and just shook my head because you know, everybody kind of has that stigma, I guess you'll say, with like the sales reps where they're like, oh, you know, they're just trying to sell you something. And I never wanted to be that guy. I can take pride in the fact that I'm not. You know, I bring a product to the table that's more of a solution, and I do it because I believed in it. I used it as a contractor, and now, you know, with this new opportunity, I see where it's getting even better. It's pushing the market even further into the future. So being able to believe in it and also provide our customers with a solution. And you know, I tell all my customers too, you know, don't just call me for lights. Like I love to talk shop. I love to talk, you know, joints, joint sands, and the resin sands and things like that. Like I talk about tools, I talk about everything with my guys, and that's what makes it fun for me. But the knowledge and sharing that knowledge across the industry, that's really the huge part in it, man. You can never get enough of it, and most of the guys that are doing well in our market, they know that. You know, if they're not doing it themselves, they're also teaching themselves, right? You know, so you got some of the big guys out there that have now started their own mentor programs, and that's really cool to see. So I think you'll see a bunch more of the companies jumping on that bandwagon and just kind of doing their own classes, which can be a lot to take in. But at the same time, the ones that have been doing it for years are really starting to get it to the point where it's about as fully encompassing as it possibly can be. So we're excited for it, that's for sure.
Definitely. And I've always been a big supporter of those companies that do invest back into the industry, not just with their products, but with that education. And that you're talking about your background there and jumping towards becoming a sales rep. Let's talk about Lee before becoming a sales rep. What was your introduction into the industry, your experience? Can we get into that a little bit as we jump
Absolutely.
away from the big change, and we'll get back to talking about you yourself here.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a wild ride, I'll say that. It's been a lot of fun over these past few years, just seeing different sides of the table. So I'm based in Central PA here. Um, And man, I want to say it was like 2016 ish. I started off on my own, just started my own company doing, home improvements, pretty much anything I get my hands on. I grew up, my dad built every house I ever lived in. So I was kind of privy to the construction industry at a very early age. And I love doing stuff with my hands. Um, I think my first love ever was at like 8 years old, learning to drive a skid loader. And then, as a young boy, once you know how to drive a skid loader, you just want to become a professional skid loader operator for the rest of your life. So, getting into that and growing up that way just kind of led me to the point where it was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And here in Central PA, I got into landscaping and stuff through high school for some family friends and some concrete background. And then that led me to just saying, hey, hardscaping like seemed like a really cool thing to do. And I started getting some education on it, doing, the ICPI courses and, getting in touch with local contractors. And, it's cool because the one thing that I always loved about the hardscape industry is while there's competition, it's really not competition, right? Like I can pick up the phone or hop on Instagram and I can chat with just about anybody in the industry and they're always willing to help each other out. It really is like a brotherhood, a hardscape brotherhood. Um, and that's what I did. I gathered as much information as I can and I started clicking away at some quotes and sure enough, I started selling jobs and the pride that you get from just creating some of these really cool backyards, man, I loved it. I did it for I want to say probably about 6, 7 years total. And I was a customer of all the products that I push out now. I've used previously, and that's what really got me to where I'm at was the labor shortage. In the industry, it's kind of a hardscape pandemic is just finding the right help and keeping the right help. It's a very tough thing to do. I've got a growing family, 4 kids and a wife, and that's tough to do too. So it got to the point where all of that was a lot to handle. And I knew it was time for a change. And this opportunity presented itself, man. And I've been loving every day of it. I do miss being, my own guy in a sense of I got to create those cool jobs myself and then produce them. But I still have the freedom to go out with my clients and with my customers and get on job sites and get dirty and really still take part in that, which is really cool. And I think that's why what keeps me here is just continuing to be able to get out and see the innovations, see the changes on the job site, and continue to play with the new toys and stuff that are out and about as well. So that's basically been the journey for me over the past decade. Is just kind of learning, growing, and I'm still learning and growing. People ask me all the time, they're like, you think you'd ever get back in business? And there's times where I'm like, yeah, it would be cool to do it knowing what I know now, right? Like you get that full 360-degree view of everything going on in the industry and you see what's working and what's not. And you learn from a lot of people. It's really cool. I think about it all the time. I'm like, yeah, like there was a lot that I do miss, but then there's parts of it that I'm like, the Tylenol bill every month is a lot lower now than what it was when I was in business. So back doesn't hurt as much, head doesn't hurt as much, and I still have all the same freedoms and the enjoyment for the job. So I think I'll stay where I'm at for now and continue pushing the edges here in the lighting industry. But that's basically what got me started and how I got here. And like I said, man, the team I have now and the co-workers here at Bold, they're all super cool people. We all, they're very much people, and that's the cool part about it. There's not anybody in this company that you can't, pick up the phone and talk to, and they're not willing to help you out. And they're all very knowledgeable. So being with a group of people that's kind of like, yeah, I work remotely because a lot of the team's in Canada, but at the same time, I'm a couple clicks on the keyboard away from some people that it's almost like I'm still on the job site with some of them. And it's a big family. It's a lot of fun. And, it's been a wild ride and I'm just kind of continuing to enjoy it. So
Definitely. What's the biggest thing that you've seen or you've experienced since moving on from your own business that if you did ever go back into the field and start your own business, you would change from the way you did it before? Anything that's kind of come to mind through all the experiences that you've shared with contractors in the years? working outside of owning your own business that you would go that you immediately look at and you're like, yeah, they did it right, or they're doing it right. I would have done that differently if I was to go out and do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not the first person to ask me that question. And that is a loaded one, to say the least. I've learned so much being on the flip side of the table now, and it's hard to really pinpoint one thing. Um, the biggest thing that comes to mind is just systems, right? Like those processes that you run in your business, they're so huge. Finding the efficiencies and just really knowing how to do things as lean as possible, and not have all that extra fluff, I think would be the biggest thing that I would probably do differently, is just how I would structure things, and the processes of, even so much as hiring. I was pretty young whenever I started my business, so it was like, hey, the first 5 friends to call me up and be like, hey, I need a job. It's like, all right, come on, let's go. And that worked out, had its advantages and it had its disadvantages too, right? I don't think I'll ever hire friends quite the same as I would. It'd have to be a really trusting friend. Don't get me wrong, I love them, but at the same time, when you get to working with someone, 50, 60 hours a week, you really start to see where some things may not have been the best decision. But I think processes, right, would be my biggest thing. The other thing is you can never invest enough in the right tools. I did spend, I know I spent a ton of money on things like Pave Tool products and, equipment, making sure I had nice equipment, because downtime is super expensive in the industry, right? If it's something breaks down the job and it can put your whole project to a stop, you're losing money. And I know I did make sure that we had good equipment on the projects. Those are the biggest things, man. If I had to look back and do it all over, that and just making sure that I use the right product for the right job.
Definitely. Well, speaking of right product for right job, and as well as efficiency on the job site, having the right tools, equipment, are there any things that really have stood out through all the contractors that you've been able to talk to, all the contractors that you've been able to visit since going away from your own business and working where you are now, that have really helped you complete this picture as to how contractors can really design and build beautiful spaces as well as execute on them? Are there any things that kind of come to mind as to what contractors can be doing, can be utilizing to efficiently design and build better spaces for their clients?
Absolutely, man. And that's another one of those great loaded questions, right? There's a lot of things, like this market is constantly evolving. So I think just staying on top of it and just understanding, shows like HNA are honestly invaluable. Not only do you get the camaraderie and the networking at those shows, but being able to see all the innovative new products at local trade shows, even if it's a small show, like, some of the manufacturer trade shows that run around, and, things like that, or just local kind of home and garden shows. Like, all of those shows have opportunity for you to see something that may be that missing key to your projects moving forward. And the other thing just takes me back to that training, right? Just having the knowledge of the things you're using and using them properly. Everybody that I see that is thriving in business, they're doing that. They're training their guys. It's not just the owner of the company going and getting the training, like it's the entire team. You go to things like the Hardscaper show and HNA and the ICPI courses, right? Like the companies that are really thriving in this market, especially even when it's getting tough to sell at times, they don't just have their top two guys there learning. They have their entire team, from the brand new guy to the guy that's been there 10 years, sitting there getting updated knowledge and just learning through the processes of every product that they use, because each product has its own niche, right? So that's the biggest thing. The guys that are doing it right, they're learning every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to education there and talking about more so features being implemented into these outdoor living spaces. When you meet a contractor that's not yet embraced outdoor lighting or other features besides outdoor lighting, what do you say to them? How do you, I don't want to say sell them on outdoor lighting or other features, But what do you do to talk to them about what outdoor lighting can do to their business, and how do you get them to warm up to outdoor lighting? I know I used to work for a retailer and or a stone yard, and
Yep.
outdoor lighting was a big part of our business to only a handful of contractors. So
Right.
it definitely is, at least in my experience, just like the small minority of contractors that embrace it, and the rest are kind of a little bit hesitant. I don't know if that's been your experience, but what do you do in terms of, talking to them and getting them to embrace it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of those things that even I left go, right? I didn't think it was that important. And it really becomes, you have to think about the project as an extension of the home, right? Everything these guys are doing out there, you're building an outdoor room, whether it has a roof or not, you're building a space that your client is going to come out and enjoy day in and day out on the weekends, evenings, nights, daytime, whatever it may be. You want them to really be able to get that full effect out of it. And if you're not putting lighting on that project, we use the equivalent all the time of you wouldn't finish your basement without lights in it, right? You can't enjoy something when it gets dark. And if you've got clients that are spending 30, 40, $120,000 on a backyard, they don't want to just enjoy it during the daytime, right? So you're leaving money on the table for yourself, and you're also dropping value for your client if you're not adding those light fixtures to the project. And it can be something as simple as just throwing a couple cap lights into a project, or just uplighting a few feature things with a spotlight. It doesn't have to always be an insane lighting schematic on a project. It can just be a few lights to highlight some things or create that safety on a project that's going to make everything that much more valuable to your customers. And that really, once you start that conversation, the guys really, they're like, yeah, man, I never even thought of it like that, but that makes complete sense. So that's the biggest way that we talk about it and teach guys, that don't do lighting right now. Not only are you leaving the table or leaving the money on the table for yourself, but you're also leaving an opportunity for somebody else that does that to come in and oversell you. They might have a more expensive price point, but when they're bringing that value to the customer, as soon as the value exceeds that price point to the customer, they're going to purchase that package, right? It doesn't matter if Bill's $20,000 more expensive than you. If he brought $30,000 more in value, they're going to go with Bill's quote, right? So that's the biggest thing, is just making sure that customer sees that they're going to be able to use this project day in, day out, all night long if they want to, and any time of the year. So
In your time dealing with contractors, has there ever been a really unique way that a contractor has sold outdoor lighting to a client? Anything that's kind of really stood out to you as to how a client went about selling perhaps a hesitant client on outdoor lighting in their space?
so I think that there's so many different ways, man. There's so many ways. Guys are really starting to use lighting in a lot of new ways now. They're being really innovative, thinking outside the box with it. So it really becomes project specific. I think the coolest way and the most frequent way that I see is guys will have, that experience kit or just those couple extra lights and a system that they have laying in the trailer. And they're like, we'll get partway through this project, and then I'm just going to toss a couple lights here on this feature and throw a couple lights here in this feature. Like, I know they said they didn't want lights, but let's just, see what it could be with the lights on. And they'll leave them on overnight, and then they'll come back in the morning, and the homeowner might be there drinking their coffee, and they'll start picking the lights up. And the homeowner's like, wait. Are we not putting those in? And he's like, oh, well, you say you didn't want any lights. And they're like, no. We definitely need to have this conversation now. Right. So that seems to be like the most creative and most effective way. Sam Harris, I think he calls it his puppy dog selling approach. I thought that was pretty cool. But that's, a lot of guys do it that way. They'll throw a couple lights into a project and then come back the next day to finish up or start the next process. And then the customer's hooked, right? They see the actual value of it, because that's how a lot of our customers buy, right? That seeing is believing. Looking at a catalog's one thing, but actually being able to see, touch, feel, and understand what that's going to do for you is huge. The other thing is the designs. The design world has just exploded this year, it seemed, with all the new upgrades on designs, and being able to show that little video walkthrough of the project that you're about to install, so the customer can see, hey, this is what happens when the sun goes down. It's like, whoa, I can't see any of that. It's like, yeah, well, one click and here's what happens when we throw lights on it. And they're like, okay, this makes complete sense. Like, let's put that line item back on the estimate, right? Those are the two things that really stick out in my mind as the best ways for guys to really incorporate them into a job, aside from just doing really, really cool things with the lights.
Definitely, definitely. And really quick here before we kind of get into what we got to look forward to with Bold coming up in the future here. Do you have really quick, it doesn't have to be a few things, but do's and don'ts for outdoor lighting, things that kind of come to mind as to what you've seen as to, yeah, do this in the future, spacing, type of lights, anything that kind of comes to mind there. And then don'ts, it could be the same thing when it comes to spacing or the type of lights, anything that comes to mind that are do's and don'ts for outdoor lighting that you could give a few quick tips to our audience here.
Absolutely. For dues, I would say even if the customer doesn't want a ton of lights, always sell a package with a bare minimum of a few lights on maybe a step or something just to add that safety. Like I wouldn't personally, I would never do a project. If I ever started my business again, I would never do a project without at least a couple lights and a transformer on it. And then I would probably throw a little extra wire out there. That way, if they decided later on, like, hey, lights was probably a good idea, I can easily phase it in. So that's something to think about. I would probably always throw maybe just a handful of fixtures on every project, a little bit of cable and a transformer, and make sure that that client has the option to add that value down the line. Don'ts, wow, don'ts could be pretty wild too. I would say don'ts would be, don't mix your color temperatures. We have some companies that are still selling like a cool 5,000 Kelvin light and a warm 2,700 Kelvin light. Like me, I've become a bit of a lighting snob, as we like to say in the industry. We pick out really quickly when someone's got, that bluish white light with that warm light right beside it. It just doesn't look good. There's very few jobs that you can make that work on. Now I know there's color changing stuff that you can really start to mix colors with, but that's a little bit different than like the warm color temperature that you should be putting on projects. I think the other do that I'm seeing a lot more guys understand the value in is start pricing out maintenance packages. If you are putting on lights on a project, every year, whether it's freeze thaw on some spotlights that get pushed up out of the ground, or just doing a quick little cleaning on some of the, in-ground fixtures, or just the lenses on your spotlights and path lights, doing a little maintenance package where you come by every year and you can kind of just check in on that customer. It creates that touch point for your customer, which helps you create your repertoire with them. And two, it gives you the option to be like, hey, did you ever think about phase 2 here? Or did you ever think about adding some lights over here on this fixture? It gives you an option to be able to upsell them a little further in the future. And also, like I said, just creates that good relationship and keeps that project looking good for years to come.
Absolutely. Excellent tips there with the do's and don'ts. And that kind of leads us to the future of Bold. What do we have to look forward to? If you want to touch on the products that are going to be available in phase 1, and as well as any maybe future phases that we've got to look forward to, gives us a little sneak peek of Bold in the future that we got to look forward to here.
Absolutely, man. The future is it's an exciting one, to say the least, man. We are going to be at a ton of trade shows. Starting in Canada, we'll be doing our big main launch at Congress in the beginning of January. And then myself and a couple of my US rep colleagues will also be at Mance in Baltimore. So you'll see us there. That'll kind of be the first look at a lot of the products. We'll have a few of them with us already. So that'll be the kind of the launch party in a way. And then as far as products go, we're going to have products end of February. Our phase 1 is going to come out. That's going to be kind of the recess fixtures, some of the bread and butter path lights, and some of our own path lights that we came to the market with. We have a couple other phases that are going to be coming in like late March and into April, into the beginning of Q2. Those are going to be like smart products, dimmable, color changing, strip lights, a lot of things like that you're going to see coming very quickly into Q2. And, down the road, we're going to be pretty quick to jump to the market to make sure that we have that full line throughout the year. And you're going to see a lot of new things coming out with us as well in the future. We're not going to waste any time. We're definitely going to make sure that we are the solution. We have a solution for, a lot of the things that we need in the market.
So Lee, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. We've touched on this kind of throughout the interview here, but as a contractor listening to this episode or on the outside looking in, why should they choose Bold as their outdoor lighting solution? What would you say to them as to why they should take a look at Bold's lineup of products? And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Absolutely. So I think the first thing that made me come to the company and really start installing the product wasn't even the product as much as it was the service that I got. Here at Bold, like, we pride ourselves in making sure that we are on the forefront with our clients. If you have a project and you call me, like, I'm going to walk through that project with you and figure out the best solution. And if you need to learn something on the project, I'm dropping what I'm doing to help you learn about that, to get it going and make sure it goes smoothly. As far as the products go, man, we talk about efficiencies in this industry all the time, and you're not going to find a system that is easier to install than this. It's quick, it's efficient. I tell guys all the time, when I first started using lighting on my projects, I had a guy, it was a kid, it was his summer job. He was coming to help me for the summer, and I had 12 fixtures on a project. And I was like, man, like, I had to go run, I had to go do some things. How am I going to train this kid on his first day? Right. And I showed him how to do the connection, and I sent him off. Right. And he installed like 12, 15 fixtures by himself. He boosted his own confidence because now he did something without needing to come ask 1,000 questions, and it was done properly and quickly. And I didn't have to worry about it. So we have taken that and made it even better with the Cobra connector. So it's going to be one of the best things you can do to create those on the job efficiencies with lighting. You're not looking at 5 minutes an install with, cut, strip, and wire nutting a fixture together. You can do each connection in like 10, 15 seconds and move on to the next one. So that's the biggest part about our product, is just how efficient you can be with it, and also how efficient the product is.
Awesome. Lee, thank you so much for your time here. Where can our audience message you if they need to for more information or find out more about Bold and what they've got coming on?
Absolutely. So you guys can reach out to me at boldpros_Lee on Instagram. You can also find all of the other teammates on there. Reach out to any of us. We're happy to help. You can also go to boldpros.com and get signed up to get our emails, and reach out to us on there as well. And you'll see us at all the trade shows coming up, the same ones that we've been going to for years. You'll be able to see us there. And we look forward to seeing you in 2024.